A lot of people are going to disagree with this, but ranking every Christopher Nolan movie from worst to best after watching The Odyssey. In last place is Following. This is Christopher Nolan's first movie ever. It was made for a very cheap budget, and it's only about an hour long. It just is about this guy following strangers through the street until he gets into weirder and weirder circumstances. It's not a bad movie by any means, but easily the weakest of his entire career. Number 12, I have Tenet. I still enjoy this movie. It's essentially Christopher Nolan doing a James Bond film, so it's obviously just a very cool film, but I think he went a bit too far with the Christopher Nolan time elements with a timeline going forward and backwards at the same exact time in this movie. It definitely makes for a very confusing watching experience, especially on the first time through. And I also just don't think this movie hits that hard emotionally. It's kind of a weaker score compared to the rest of his films. Still like it, but not one of my favorites. Number 11, I have Insomnia, one of Christopher Nolan's most straightforward films. It definitely doesn't feel like any of his other movies, but I still really enjoy this movie. It's essentially just a murder mystery. You got Al Pacino in this, absolutely being amazing as always, and they're just in this town in Alaska and they can't fall asleep because the sun's up all throughout the night. At number 10, I have The Dark Knight Rises. It's undeniably a lot messier than Nolan's first two Batman films, but there's still a lot I love about this movie. First of all, it just goes so epic and grand in scope. It genuinely feels like a massive story that Nolan's tackling here. I think Tom Hardy is absolutely amazing as Bane in this movie. So many amazing quotes and scenes. Yes, some of the fight choreography is very bad if you really pay attention to that. And like I said, the plot is just very messy because Nolan's tackling so much here, but I still think this has some really high highs. At number 9, I have Dunkirk. This used to be towards the bottom of my Nolan ranking, but after rewatch, I really love this film. Everything from here on up is a great movie in my opinion. This movie is just so unbelievably intense. Christopher Nolan nailed his first attempt at a war film, and I think Dunkirk existing is the only reason that The Odyssey is as good as it is. It's one of those movies that I think perfectly captures the horrors of war from multiple different perspectives, because we kind of have 3 different perspectives in this movie, and I think all of them work amazingly. At number 8, I have Batman Begins. Like I said, everything from here on up in the list is amazing, and I think this is one of, if not the best superhero origin story of all time. Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is one of my favorite superhero villain performances of all time, and he's not even the main villain of this movie, which is insane. Also love everything with the League of Shadows and Ra's al Ghul, and just the way this story builds and we learn how this version of the character became Batman. I think Nolan understood this character so perfectly. At number 7, I have The Prestige. Whoever knew that a movie about 2 magicians trying to one-up each other's tricks could be so intense and fascinating? But this movie absolutely blew my mind the first time. I did not see the plot twist coming because I'm kind of an idiot, but I think Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale are both on their A game. They riff off each other so perfectly in this movie, and it's really just one of Nolan's best. But like I said, he has so many other good films that has to be at number 7. At number 6, I have Interstellar. I think this movie is amazing. It's probably Nolan's most emotionally effective film. Now it's between this and The Odyssey, but this movie is one of the only Nolan movies to genuinely make me tear up at the scene of Cooper watching the messages from his kids. That hits every single time. There's so many amazing moments that are elevated by one of the best scores from Hans Zimmer's career in this, like the docking sequence, absolute cinema. This is just an amazing sci-fi film overall, and I think it's still an almost perfect film. I'm just a little bit lower on it than other people, which feels weird to say, but again, I have it at number 6. Before the top 5, drop a like on this video and let me know your favorite and least favorite Nolan movie in the comments down below. At number 5, I have Memento. This is right up my alley. I love a good noir thriller mystery movie, and Guy Pearce absolutely knocks this role out of the park. If you don't know, he plays this guy that has short-term memory loss, but he's trying to solve this murder mystery at the same exact time, retracing clues, trying not to forget things. I absolutely love the way this movie unfolds, and once you get to that ending scene and everything clicks together, you're going to want to rewatch the movie immediately because it becomes even better on rewatch knowing everything. At number 4, I have The Odyssey, and before you say recency bias, when I walked out of the theater, I absolutely loved this movie, but I was going to have it below movies like Memento and Interstellar, but this has not left my mind once since watching it in theaters. I think Christopher Nolan takes the incredibly classic story, one of the oldest stories of all time, and just elevates it to a brand new level. He adds in some new things to the story that make the message of this hit 10 times harder, and he adds some new messages in here as well. I also think you can make the argument that this has the best acting performances out of any movie in Christopher Nolan's career. Like Matt Damon as Odysseus is absolutely amazing. John Leguizamo gives an MVP supporting performance along with Anne Hathaway. The score from Ludwig is so unique and incredibly different from everything else on this list. The visuals are amazing. There's like multiple horror sequences in this movie. I do think it takes a little bit to get going, but the last like hour and a half of this movie is genuinely some of, if not the very best stuff Nolan's ever done in his career. Number 3, I have Oppenheimer. Leave it to Nolan to make a 3-hour movie about people sitting in rooms talking. One of the most captivating films you'll ever watch in your life. Love the way that this is formatted, jumping between the different timelines in classic Nolan style. I was just glazing the performances in The Odyssey. So of course I have to do the same for Oppenheimer, because even though I think The Odyssey has more amazing supporting performances, I do think Cillian Murphy as Robert J. Oppenheimer is probably the best Nolan performance of all time, or a performance in one of his movies. It's either between him or Heath Ledger. This movie is genuinely a masterpiece. It's one of the best musical scores I've ever heard in my life, and I absolutely love it. At number 2, I have The Dark Knight. Listen, I've been a superhero movie fan my entire life, and this is still definitively the best superhero movie of all time in my opinion. I mean, Christian Bale, I absolutely love his portrayal of Bruce Wayne, and Batman. Yeah, the Bat voice isn't great, but that's literally the only negative I have about this entire movie. Obviously, the Joker and Heath Ledger's performance as that character is one of the all-time great performances. And this just simply works as one of the best thrillers of all time. The way this plot keeps unfolding throughout the movie, it keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time, no matter how many times you've watched this movie. A complete masterpiece. At number 1 is Inception. Listen, are there other movies on this list that are probably objectively better made? Sure, but that's not how I watch movies. Inception means so much to me. This was one of the first movies I watched that genuinely got me into film, and this movie really feels like it was handcrafted to be one of my favorites of all time. I love heist films. I'm obsessed with just the concepts of time and dreams. I find those things so fascinating, and obviously that's what this entire movie is about, and one of, if not the best ending of all time. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see my longer review of The Odyssey, click the playlist above my head right now, and let me know down in the comments below what your favorite Christopher Nolan movie of all time is, and thank you again for watching.